and welcome back to the Garment Decorators podcast from Styles UK. We are here in the Heat Printing Innovation Centre in Braintree in Essex, joined by Molly.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about 2024. So I know that some of you would be thinking it's a little bit early, but I promise you that it's really not. So this is the first exclusive announcement of our 2024 templates.
First ever piece of video content that we've done on it for this year.
So this is something that's been requested for probably 4 to 6 weeks now.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of people asking us for, before 23 was over, the 24 template was being requested. We were a bit like, oh, you're all very keen.
So we're here to let you know today that if you go to custom.targettransfers.com and look in the nav bar, you will be able to see a levers 24 and a 24 design area to go and access a new template. But for anyone that is new to heat printing or has never done 2024 printing with the names inside the number specifically we're talking about today, we're going to break it down a little bit for you about why this is important and why you can make a lot of money from this. And it's a really popular design. So it's time to download that template, learn it, and think about how you can apply this to your business, because there's lots of opportunities. And we're going to go through a couple of examples for you today just to get you thinking, because the most important thing is to actually start putting those ideas in front of people, because the way to look at it is it's not a case of as soon as it hits January 1st, 2024, that's when these designs are relevant. It's actually anything that's relevant is sort of the 23, 24 year or season. So obviously levers is a big one. And as the leading supplier of heat transfers for levers, hoodies that you see everywhere, and probably particularly at this moment in time is probably like peak levers hoodie wearing season, especially this time of year with this weather.
July, August, everyone's left school wearing their favourite new hoodies.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not very sunny, so.
No. So if you've ever seen those 22, 23, all the way back the last 40 years, we've been the main print for those tops, and basically it tends to be a 1 to 5 colors, screen transfers that you buy batches of 100, 200 with all the kids' names inside it, and then you print for 10 seconds and then you're done. And it's a really great bit of business, and it's a great revenue stream from normally for lever stuff. It's sort of January through to July. But we're finding that last year, in particular, sort of 22 into 23, we did from about September onwards, we printed pretty much non-stop until last week.
Yeah, so there was so many jobs going through.
There really was. So we just wanted to kind of open everyone's eyes that although we do talk about lever stuff quite a lot, it's the actual number with the letters inside it, which is the magic thing, and it can be applied to lots and lots of things. So we're going to kind of, first we'll talk about levers and why that's important. We are going to talk a lot about other revenue areas that you can apply this to, that we see lots of customers doing already, that we want to share with you to try and make all of you more successful as well.
Yeah, we saw a lot of uptake on that particular side that we'll touch on later, but there were a lot of new customers, I think, that having like the 12 months just gone, that were starting to venture out a bit further. I think once you get confident with the template and ordering them and printing them, you're like, oh, I could do this for X, Y, Z. So.
Exactly. So I guess first up, we should address the fact that for those, we say this every time, but if you're weeding these designs, you shouldn't be doing this. So if anyone that's new, and you can probably hear Molly smirking, but
sorry,
this is something we talk about this a lot, but I still see quite a lot of people doing it, where they're doing these very complicated weeds. And I know people say, oh, but I really enjoy it. It's therapeutic.
I'm sorry. No. Weeding, I get it. Weeding levers? Nah, absolutely no way.
Absolutely not. And it's not a very good use of your time. And if you're doing it in volume, you're going to lose money from the job you're doing, because your time, the amount of time it takes you, you'll lose that profit and you won't be able to pay yourself for that job. So
you could have like 3 holidays in the time that it would take you to weed the levers transfers, is all I'm saying.
That's it. So levers stuff is a great way to make money, but you've got to do it the right way.
I wonder at which point in the future, next year, year after, we will no longer be addressing the weeding levers situation.
I think that we'll always be addressing. I've still seen lots of people.
I'm really hoping that everybody understands at some point and transitions over to transfers.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fool's errand, really. And I think because it's not just the fact that people like weeding. I think people are sort of miscalculating their time. So I think some, because obviously, so let's say, for instance, it was sports film, which is the easiest weeding vinyl. And if you were buying, say, half a meter by a meter long for about sort of £5-6, depending on how the quantity you're ordering, you could get quite a few levers designs on a £6 piece of vinyl.
So it's perceived as a cheaper option.
Yeah, because you look at a length of vinyl and you think, oh, what's £6? I could get maybe, I don't know, 6 to 8. I think 8. I think A4 goes into that by about 8, something like that, with a little bit left over. So you think, oh, okay, that's only sort of like 50p a design, something like that. Yeah. But the reality is, because it takes you, say, 10 to 15 minutes to weed that design, it means
times 30, 60, 150.
Yeah, so however much you would pay yourself an hour, divide that by 4, and that's also needs to be factored into the cost of materials, because the labor cost for weeding levers versus pretty much anything else, or even this kind of detailed tiny names into any shape, it shouldn't be weeded, because you will lose lots of money each time. And depending on how tight your margins are, that could be your whole margin is gone and you've not even realized it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why lots of people are still weeding, because it's a perceived saving, but actually it's a
time waster,
an extra cost, and a real drain on your profit margins by doing it that way.
Yeah.
But for those that have never done lever stuff before, it's a great time to start thinking about it, because I know that the schools are only just broken up, but the actual conversations about getting into schools for printing stuff that's non-school uniform is starting already.
Yeah, for the following year.
Yeah, and if you just think about it like this, if you go into the shops at the moment, like going to like Tesco or Sainsbury's, and you'll see that the first thing you see is stationery. Like, it's back to school stuff is already the most prominent thing in schools already. So that's what kind of mentality you've got to start thinking about, is if you want lever stuff, and I'll explain why you do want that, you need to be having those conversations now, because some of this stuff will start to kick in for stuff that happens in September, October. So actually you need to start thinking about getting the garments and getting the transfers already. And if you're not, you could almost miss out on a whole year's worth of work by not getting in there now.
Yeah, that is very true, actually. Which
is really important. So the reason that people spend so much time on, or enjoy getting levers business, is because it's an easy win. So an average school class leaving size, say for secondary school, is about 100, 150, we find, for the prints that we're doing. So it's good volume numbers, for instance. So that's a good start. At 150, you can get a really nice price point if you're ordering heat transfers. I mean, there's lots. We've done loads and loads of webinars on this, and we will be doing another one very soon, which we'll announce at the end of the podcast when that's going to be. But you can make really good profit margins at that volume as well. So once you start to get to 100, 150, 200, I mean, I know that it's quite a long time ago when I left secondary school, but there's probably at least 200, 250 in my year. So there will be some schools at like 30, but then there'll be some at like 200, 300 or more, depending on where they are based in.
Yeah, and it depends on what school as well. Like, you can do levers for primary schools. That's also a very popular thing. Like, I've got a lot of sort of friends of friends that have got kids in like year 5, year 6, and if they're leaving primary school to go to high school, that, if anything, is more of a thing now. We never did that when I was at school.
No, I was just thinking that the other day. I was like, I
didn't get levers hoodie.
No, I didn't get one. And this graduating next July, there'll be probably almost 2 million just across primary and secondary, which are kind of two of the biggest markets for it. But like what it says, that it's pretty much every age level where you leave school. So it could be at the age of 5, we do prints that small. So there's a serious volume of work out there. So it's probably like one in every, I don't know, 1 every 30 people could have a levers hoodie potentially.
That's very fast math.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try and confirm or deny if that's accurate.
It's probably even smaller than that number. So it's a massive market.
Yeah.
They're easy to do, because all you need to do is order a levers print, and we show you how to artwork that. You order, I'd order on the same gang sheet, I'd order the school badge to go on the front.
Yeah, extra value.
Get a load of initials done either with transfers, or you could do that with vinyl if you're using a 1:5 color, because you can match our vinyl to the inks. And
that is acceptable to weed.
That is, yeah.
Initials are fine.
1 or 2 cavities, it's fine. And then you put it on the, print on the back, print on the front, and that's it. You're done. You might pay £10 to £12 for the hoodie, and then it's probably sort of
for a decent one as well, not like a cheapy, rough kind of scratchy feeling, like a nice quality hoodie.
Yeah, I'm talking something from Orders, which tend to be one of the leading sellers for hoodies in general, but particularly levers as well.
Yeah,
maybe sort of £2 worth of transfer on there. So you could be looking at 12 to £14 cost of materials for it. And these things sell for sort of anywhere between £20 and £30, depending on how affluent the area that the school is in.
Yeah. So
it's easy money. You could be making sort of £10 profit per item. The average school size is 100, 150, which we find, because like I say, we are the leading supplier of levers transfers, and this is an average I've taken for all the work that's gone through the system this year. 150 is about average. So, 10 times 150, and if you can get lots of schools like that, it's a really great revenue stream. Even if you're not a sort of fulfillment printer, you could be just doing this to bring more revenue into your business, just to kind of allow you to do the things, more creative endeavors that you want to do. So it's just a great revenue stream to bring in. And if all you need to do, generally speaking, to get this work is just know someone at the school who perhaps is on the Parent Teachers Association, or if you have a kid at a school, chances are they'll be like, oh yeah, Molly, you've got a heat press, can you do this work, can you do the lever stuff? That tends to be how it goes. But even if you're not in that position, as long as you're within a certain area of schools, I would just phone up all those schools to start off with and just keep expanding your sort of circle of reach until you've got enough work that you can't handle any more of it.
And we've spoken about this before on the other levers podcasts and videos that we've done. But even if you don't know someone at the school and you want to secure that job, taking like an example in and actually putting the product in the teacher, the head, whoever makes that decision, putting your product in their hands so that they can physically see and feel it. And that will set you apart from so many other printers who would probably just send like mock-ups online or things like that. I think building that relationship is what's key for future as well.
Yeah. And if you do a good enough job, it'd be much easier to have that conversation each year to get that repeat work as well.
It's securing that first job, like you say, isn't it? And then once you've done that, it becomes easier.
And that's it. And there's lots and lots of repeat work to be had that kind of spins off the back of that as well. So obviously, purely just having the levers work for a school is great. But there's so many more uses once you kind of get your foot in the door as well. So I'm not talking about like the school blazers and the school uniform, because if you've got that contract, great. But that does tend to be something that's contracted and it's a little bit harder to get into. It's a lot easier now. You can do heat transfers of badges. It's a lot easier to kind of like, you don't have to have expensive embroidery machines anymore.
Yes.
Because you can get just as good a look, if not better, from a heat transfer. But there's lots of stuff and like I say, that this is stuff that we're seeing go through. So for instance, pretty much every single thing that happens at a school now in the 23 to 24 year is using the names in the number design. So first ones to kind of start thinking about is like, October half term, which is sort of, I think, around the 16th of October, something like that. That's when the first school trips start to happen. There's, that's again, it could be 100 people going on a school trip. That's another easy win. You're just doing hoodies or T-shirts with the names in the number,
the location or the trip name on the top.
Exactly, yeah. And you can repeat this pretty much every half terms. So they might be going away in, say, April, or whenever the Easter holidays are. They might be going away in the May half term, or February, I think there's. Trying to think back. I think there's a February
6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, it would either be end of Feb, beginning of March, roughly, from Christmas.
I probably should have looked that one up. Apologies to everyone, but I'm sure
we don't have kids. If anyone's noticed.
So February half term. I think that's when a lot of the school trips happen, which is another big one for that levers style print. Remember, all you need to do is take the levers, delete the levers part off the template, and it's the 24 print.
Yeah.
Just put probably the location name above it, and that's really easy that way. But also going into the summer, school trips, just the normal activities weeks, any kind of occasion, like could just be like a theatre trip or something like that. It's very easy to then just do lots of corporate work for this that can just be repeat. So you can actually, rather than just be having a once a year hit of lever stuff, you could have a repeat business for that school all year round.
Yeah, it just trickles in every month, every other month. Yeah. And also I think knowing which trips to target first, because I remember when I was at school, we did multiple trips across the years, but as we got into the older year groups, we went away for longer. So for example, the trips that are like 4 or 5 days for students and they all go and stay away somewhere for a week, they're probably the ones that you want to hit first, maybe, because they're more of an occasion, I guess. And then once, like you say, you've secured those jobs, you're more likely to get the like odd overnight ones or the days and stuff like that. You could even, I mean, we haven't discussed this, but you could even do sort of maybe even t-shirts for, depending on what the trip is, if it's just a day somewhere and they want something, you know, branded or something to remember the occasion by. But if it's in summer and they don't want a hoodie, or once you've got the design, there's so many things you can do with them. Yeah,
just think of those trips like a workwear pack. So in the same way,
Hat, bag, t-shirt.
Exactly. They will just do a whole pack for them. And it's just another easy way of building that revenue stream. And the more repeat business you can get and the more value you can get out of one customer, even better for your business that way.
Exactly.
But so levers is obviously a massive one. And I think that anything to do with the schools and the 24 is a great place to start. And like I said, there's probably close to 2 million people just in primary and secondary. So there's a lot of potential customers out there. You know, and it's with kids, it does tend to be a case of they don't want to miss out on the same thing that all their friends have. So it's quite easy to get the percentage of take up on that in each class is a lot higher than most things would be. Obviously, you can apply the same principle to universities as well, because actually societies and sports clubs is way bigger than schoolwork. There's even more people in university, and actually there's way more people in a club of any kind. I mean, I don't know, I think the average is something like 180 different clubs and societies at any university.
Really?
It's really, really much higher when you start to think about all the different niches that there are.
And obviously people can be a member of more than one of them as well, so there's probably overlap in terms of who's a part of what, I guess.
Yeah, and that's, again, it's the 23, 24 stuff that happens. You can start to apply the same logic. You just take off levers, because obviously you're not going to get university levers probably, because obviously you can even fit that many thousands of people's names in a lever's cape or something like that too.
That, and I was going to say the caps and hats and stuff.
But every single club and society, there could be hundreds or 200 people in a sports club quite easily. And
for the new people that come in every year, like if they join a group or a society or however that works, that could be something that they might want to buy initially, because it's the excitement of joining something.
You get it every year. I mean, when I was at uni, but the rugby club, what happened at the beginning of each year is you go and meet whoever's providing it, and they give you a catalogue that's already been mocked up with all your stuff in it, and they just say pick what you want. And because it's done in September, October, and you've got that student loan fresh in your bank account,
I'll have one of those, one of those.
Do. The average spend is probably, I don't know, like could be anywhere between 150 to 200 pounds per person. By the time you've got t-shirt, hoodie, polo,
and then you're living off pot noodles for the rest of the year, is basically how it works.
But it's the average order value per society will be staggeringly high, and because there's millions of people in that age of university, and they can go away on trips, they can have competitions. So you again utilizing that 24 template for all of these occasions is a great way to do it. Again, it's just easy. It's easy business, to be honest with you.
Yeah, just swap out, like you say, levers for whatever else on top, and that's it.
Yeah, and so between just sort of academic uses of the 24 template, I mean, that's enough to run a business off the back of. And we have lots of customers that just do leavers and university stuff, and are doing very successful companies.
Yeah, well, work for 6 months and then have 6 months off.
So obviously the academic area is it's a big market, but this can be applied across so many other things as well.
Yeah.
Just by take the levers part off the template, and it's a 24, and it can be used. A big one could be sports clubs. So, for instance, if you have the local schools and stuff, there's a good chance you've got the local sports team. So, football, rugby, cricket, dance, anything that is a sporting and it's local.
All ages as well.
All ages as well. Anything from 4 through to adult. So, again, another big market that we see stuff being used for is anything with the 23-24 season. So anything that goes into next year is the 2024 season. So the template is applicable to this. So
that starts from September this year when things kick off again, really?
Basically, yeah. Anything like the football season is a good indicator of things starting again. But one thing we see a lot is anything to do with these sports teams is actually putting the 24 template to use there. Because it's really nice because it has everyone's name and a squad inside the number, and they associate it with that season, and they feel part of the community of that particular year. So it's great because they enjoy the product. It looks good. They feel good. But the advantage is that it's going to age as well. So it means that come the 24-25 season,
everyone's going to be looking around for a new year. Everyone's going to
be waiting for the 25 design to come in. They'll be expecting it. They'll be enjoying it. Maybe there's some new squad members that joined halfway through that didn't get their name in there.
And they're keen to get the new ones.
They want theirs. And because it's it's a good profit product, like I said, it could be £10 per item, but it's not a very expensive product to then offer to the actual teams. So it's a kind of a win-win as well. So you're not, you're not taking advantage of them. You're providing something that's of value to them, and they'll probably wear it at least once a week for the season, going to matches, things like that.
Well, that's just it. You wear it over your kit, or whatever you wear to that particular, depending on whether it's a sports club, a dance club, any of those things. You're not going to wear and ruin your uniform as such, but you still want something to chuck over that's branded and relevant when you're going to and from places.
Yeah, and I think all teams, especially things like football, but you mentioned dance. Dance is a big one where they tend to, every event that they would go to, they tend to have a new gear because they're going to be competing in that competition afresh, and they don't want to turn up in the same stuff every single week. It's very important to have new items, so you could switch up the colors for every single one. It's very easy to match an ink color or put a particular color blend in, depending if there's a special theme around it.
Also, I think it gives different companies or teams the chance to change their logo or change their style, because if you were just stuck with the same one, it would be a big outlay to then get everyone new jumpers. Whereas if you give them the chance every year to be like, look, we're going to do a new 24-25 number, do you want to change anything about this before we print them? That gives them the flexibility to update sort of their look and their style, as well as just you making profit from it.
That's it. And one I saw this morning was it was a running club. I think it must have been a running thing.
Oh, of course, running, athletics, all of that doesn't have to just be team sports, does it?
Every time there's like a marathon, half marathon, or something like that, either doing it from the team point of view, or perhaps if you're going there as like a club, you might want to have your own gear, and you could put your own names inside, something to commemorate the occasion as well.
It's very clever the way they do it with the dates, because like the Colchester half marathon that they do probably about half an hour from where we are, it's really subtle, the date on it. It's just, they have their logo and then they have the year underneath it, but it's probably like that big. But obviously if you're running the 24 and you don't want to wear your 23 shirt, so it's very, very clever the way that the organisers do it.
It's exactly the same principle, Ben. It's, it's an easy, the artwork's easy. Once you've done it once or twice, it takes 30 seconds to do the names inside it. So it's a really, really easy win for absolutely everyone. So that's another good use of it. Any kind of sporting competition or event with a club or society, it doesn't even have to be sports. It could just be anything where you go to as a society. Then you can apply this logic to it. Offer that to any, look for, just search for local clubs and societies on Google and see what's near you, and be like, okay, phone or contact every single one of them. Say, do you want me to do your event wear for this? It could just be some people are going to play computer games somewhere. It could be anything where this could be applied to. And there's lots of different template options for this year as well. So it means that one of the things that we've done, which is slightly different for this year as well, is actually given 3 or 4 different styles of font and template rather than just having the traditional collegiate style. We've mixed up a bit to make sure it's a bit easier for you to pitch it to these different customer types. So we've given there's about 3 or 4 different options. So it means you can cover all different customer types without just them looking at me like it's a Levi's design. They'll just look at it and be like, it's a 24 design. That's cool. Yeah, this is something that we could apply it for.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try and help you achieve those orders and make it easier for you as well. But just on the topic of sports, one thing I wanted to touch upon is thinking about trips for either sports teams or groups of adults going to places. So one thing where the 24 design could work particularly well, and I know that we have a customer that does a lot of work for this, is actually like something like Le Mans, which is where people go as a group. They drive all their cars to Le Mans to watch the 24-hour drive. But it's the 2024, the 24 Le Mans 24 design. I mean, that seems like a good one. But it could be anything where you're going together as a group. For instance, there probably is going to be hundreds of thousands of people from Britain going over to Germany for Euro 2024. It's also the Paris Olympics in 2024. So June and July next year is packed full of events where people could go to as a group, where they could use the 24 template as we're on tour or going as a group or just as an occasion. They're traveling to these things.
Even as a guest,
not just kids,
like
we're talking adults here as well. There's lots and lots of occasions where you can apply this same logic to, and like we say, because it has a higher perceived value because it's a complicated looking design, but because we teach you to do it and it's very easy, but your customers don't know that it's very easy, and they don't need to know that. You just need to know that you can do it, and then we can help you bring those transfers to life and apply them in 10, 12 seconds, and it's easy for you. So it's, thinking about that, think about everything that's happening next year that is an occasion. Could you apply this logic to it?
Yeah. And the good thing about using heat transfers is that not only, obviously, we've discussed heat transfer vinyl versus custom transfers, but in terms of longevity of them, even though, yes, every year chances are people will be looking for a new one, if it is something like the Olympics where they just get a one-off or something like that, the quality of the transfers won't decline at all. No. It will last the lifetime of the garment on that one. So even if it becomes one of those things, I know we were talking about before that with the hat market, people have hats from certain occasions as like a memory from that event or something along those lines. This could very much be the same thing, and it has the longevity to be that memory for them for that event, rather than just, like you say, the turnover, which is also great.
And in the same way that it's good to have the stuff that ages out, but like you say, they're having something that's memorable. So like Euro 2024 or Paris 24, it was something you could wear for a long time because we know how long the transfers will last for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Something else that we're seeing quite a lot as well is not just the sporting occasion, but for those of you that have lots of corporate and workwear customers as well, it's actually applying that logic to your sort of normal customers, but because every customer, every business has occasions as well. So it could be that
I hadn't thought about that one.
A summer barbecue or a trip somewhere, or perhaps a team building a couple of days away. If you might be, if you're a bigger you're doing for the bigger companies, they might have summits where they go and take time out to do sales summits or things like that, where there's all the different elements of the business or particular departments get together, but you can apply the logic of, so that again, in the same way that it makes a memorable experience by encouraging your customers to provide all the staff with an item from that particular occasion. It kind of helps bond the event together because they have something, they have a nice bit of free swag to go with it that they'll remember it from, but then they might wear it again and remember what they learned at their thing. So it's kind of builds the emotion into the experience of what they're trying to achieve, and ties everyone together as well.
A lot of companies, depending on obviously the size, or every company is different, but the company that I worked for before I worked here did annual ski trips for everyone, and not loads of people went. I would say probably 30, 40 out of the whole company maybe, but it was everyone was so excited about it. And I can guarantee you if the offer was there, every single one of those people that went on the trip would have had the hoodie to go with it. But that for some reason it wasn't an option. So that's definitely, it's not just kids' school trips that happen. You know, you get trips like that within the workplace that are probably more likely to take you up on your offer.
Yeah, and there's probably across all of your workwear customers, there's probably just as many of those occasions out there as there are school trips, to be honest.
If not, maybe more, dependent on the company. Yeah.
So it could be, you know, even if you're just refreshing the workwear once a year for that customer, try getting them to get the 24, because again, it will age out and you can come back to them. So you're ready for the 25 version of the work now. It's just a very easy one to get in there. Thinking about stag and hen do's, again, nice and easy win. There'll be, I don't know how many of those from the UK going to somewhere, or even in the UK, where you could again apply the 24 design to it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a plane involved. A lot of them are just weekends, one day, that kind of thing.
You know, just again, you know, there's not going to be 150 like there are with the schools, or the 200 with the clubs and societies, but again, it could just be 10 to 30. And it's just easy wins for you that way. Again, it just all adds up, especially if you're getting sort of £10-15 profit per item. It all add quite easily that way. So that's why it's important to think about every single customer, look at your database and think, who could have a 24 design? As soon as you figure that out, contact them straight away and start pitching it to them and say, here's what I could do for you. Are you interested? What, you know, start to ask the right questions about your workwear customers, your corporate customers. Think about what are you doing next year? What occasions do you have coming up? What could I do for you to help? What could I do to help you? Sorry. And I'm sure there's way more occasions that you know, just by having that conversation, you might be like, well, why aren't you getting a special occasion top for that?
And they'll go, oh, I don't know, should I be?
Should I? Exactly. Yeah, should I be? And you're like, yes, you should be. Exactly.
The template is already done for you.
And the great thing is there's so many, like I said, they've got new templates, styles, but there's lots and lots of different finishes and color options that are available now as well.
There are, yes. We have a couple of examples for those watching on YouTube, actually. Let me just grab them. Do you want to talk through which one is which?
So obviously, anyone that's familiar with the Levers ones will be aware of the kind of classic one color, white, black, and red, often on a hoodie, because, you know, it does still look very striking if you can get the design right. This is first look at, you can't quite see it from here, but, you know, if you go to the website after this podcast, you'll be able to get a much closer look at it. But it's very striking, very simple, but it's quite very classic, and it's really, really easy to do. I'm going to give, like I say, I'll give you the announcement of the next event at the end of the podcast. But it's just so easy to do. So we do see a lot of one color stuff go through, and this tends to be a 1 to 5 color screen product, because this is the best value way of doing one color work of any kind. But what Molly has there as well is the full color version of this. So those, depending on your customer type and what their sort of brand principles are, what colors they like to do, what is the general theme of their business. If like it's a dance school, or, you know, even the sports stuff now, a lot of the designs are really quite out there. You can use this same 24 template and apply color to it. And it doesn't have to just fill the color. It can be in the same style as the Levers one, with blends going on the outer edge as well. There's no limits to what can be achieved from a color point of view. It's just very easy to apply any color gradients. You can apply a rainbow effect to it.
That's what I really like about this one, because on some of the R23 templates, we did color gradients, but they were very bold and obvious color gradients. This one's really, really subtle. It goes from like a really light pink all the way through to a deep pink, but it's not, you wouldn't look at that and go, oh, that's a gradient. It's not until you look closer and go, oh yeah, but it looks really effective.
Yeah, so this is the kind of way to think about it. It's like, think past just Levers stuff for schools, but think about how the design principles, you can apply a design principle of your existing companies, their brand identity can be put into the Levers design very easily. So that means you don't just have to provide them something plain. If you think that they need something a bit more eye-catching, put something pink with a blend in front of them. Or even if you're going to one of your existing customers, if you're already just doing single color stuff already, but you're thinking about offering something, or you just want to differentiate yourself from a competitor, I tell everyone that comes through these doors, take the full color stuff in, even if they don't choose it, because it will show that you can do something that your competitor can't.
And you got the knowledge
and that will make you look more professional and has an impact on you securing that business as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably the biggest tip for people that are, whether it's your first sleeveless job or whether you've been doing it for years, this is something that you should be doing.
And we can do this in multiple transfer types. So it can be 1 to 5 color, it can be full color. If you do start to apply this logic to sports trips and occasions where they might be using one to garment is bright and bold and perhaps even dyed to get to that color as well, we do have blocker versions of 1 to 5 color screen and ultra color as well. So don't worry, your design will look pristine no matter what fabric it's going on to. And if you're unsure about that, just get in touch with us, because we can provide details on the best transfer type for every occasion, which is going to get you the best finish and the best price point.
Especially on the white as well, because you want that to stay looking as crisp as possible.
Yeah.
And even if you're not 100% sure on the garment, it's always better to be safe and get the blocker.
So let's talk about the new template for 2024. So like I say, if you go to the navigation bar on custom.targettransfers.com and look for either levers 24 or 24, you will see that there's lots of different options. There's going to be at least 4 different options of style. So you can have a different font size, or different font style, different color options. So that means that no matter what the customer type, you've got something for them. And we will be doing our first live tutorial on this on August the 11th. So if you'd like to see how to artwork these, how to fuse these properly, join us on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn live at 12 p.m. on Friday, August 11th. And we'll be doing the first 24 tutorial of the year. And I'll show you just how easy it is, because the 4 is a little bit trickier than the 3, but we've made the artwork nice and easy for you. So it'll be really easy to follow, simple steps, and you can start to apply this logic and get in touch with those customers today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's the first. We're starting earlier and earlier every year, but it's definitely needed with the amount of requests and comments. I think on one of our most recent Levers Lives, might have been the last one or the one before that, I think majority of the questions were about 24 rather than 23 at that point.
That's it. So as we've said today, the names and numbered template design is trending all through the year now. So you've got to think beyond just Levers stuff and beyond just January to July. You've got to think September through July, and we're going to help you achieve that. So that is it on 24 templates. So join us on August 11th to talk a little bit more about the practical side of things and how to actually achieve this.
And ask any questions that you might have as well.
That's it. Bring all your questions to it. I'd like to just quickly highlight, we have had some really great podcast guests as well recently.
We've had a lot more.
So Minus Cloud 9, so Charlotte joined us last week. And it was a really interesting chat about the growth of her business and some of the bigger customers that she's been dealing with now. And just some of the brand message behind her, because she's very good at storytelling her business, which is something that we always encourage everyone to do. And so I'd encourage you all to listen to her talking about her business, because it's a great way to try and talk about your own business like that, because it will help you achieve a lot more. And we also had the Orders gang join us. So Orders, who actually provide these 2 hoodies that we're looking at today.
You're actually wearing one as well.
I am wearing one. So that was a really great podcast with Carl and Tiffany there. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that. But as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, wherever you like to get your content. We've got options for you. Thank you very much, Molly, for joining me.
No problem. And we'll be back next week with another podcast episode.